Taewon stood at the podium and looked at the crowd. His hands shook a little. He had worked on this speech for months, but now that he was here, he felt small. The conference room was huge. Scientists from 12 different alien species filled the seats. They all watched him with strange eyes. Some had 4 eyes. Some had none at all. He cleared his throat and began. His voice was quiet at first, then grew stronger. "Everyone says humans are too emotional," he said. "They say we feel too much, that we let our hearts control our heads. But I think that is our strength, not our weakness." A ripple went through the crowd. Some aliens made clicking sounds. Others whispered in languages he could not understand. Taewon pushed forward. "When humans face problems, we do not just think about them, we feel them. We get angry at injustice. We feel sad when people suffer. We feel joy when we help others. These feelings push us to act. They make us better." An alien in the front row stood up. Its body was made of blue crystal that glowed softly. It spoke in a voice that sounded like music. "Dr. Han, your theory is dangerous. Emotions cause wars. They make people act without thinking. My people learned this lesson 2,000 years ago. We removed strong emotions from our bodies. Now we are peaceful and stable." Taewon nodded. "Yes, you are stable. But are you alive? Do you create art? Do you write music? Do you love?" The crystal alien did not answer. It sat down slowly. The conference continued for 2 more hours. Most aliens disagreed with Taewon. They said humans were primitive, that humanity would never be allowed to join the Galactic Concordat until they learned to control their feelings. When it ended, Taewon felt tired and defeated. He walked back to his small office on Nexus 7. The space station was neutral ground where humans and aliens could meet. His office had a window that looked out at the stars. He stood there for a long time, wondering if he had made a mistake. A knock on the door made him turn around. "Come in," he said. The door opened. A young woman walked in. She wore the robes of a Vaynar diplomat. Her skin was the same blue crystal as the alien who had challenged him. But there was something different about her. Her glow seemed warmer somehow. "More alive, Dr. Han," she said. "My name is Velmira. I need to speak with you. Alone." Taewon looked at her carefully. "Are you sure you want to be seen talking to me? Your people did not seem to like my speech." Velmira glanced back at the door. Then she moved closer and lowered her voice. "That is exactly why I need to talk to you. I am not like the others. I have been reading human books, poetry, stories about love and loss. My mother found out and took them all away. She said they were dangerous. Why are you telling me this?" Taewon asked. Velmira's glow brightened. "Because I want to learn. I want to feel what humans feel. I want you to teach me." Taewon almost laughed. "That is impossible. You cannot just learn to feel. Your people removed that ability from your biology." "Maybe," Velmira said, "but I have to try, please. You do not understand what it is like. We go through life like machines. We follow rules. We do our duties, but we never truly live. I read about a human woman who cried when her child was born. I read about a man who laughed until he could not breathe. I want to know what that feels like." Taewon sat down at his desk. This was crazy. If anyone found out he was teaching a Vaynar princess about emotions, both of them would be in serious trouble. "Why me?" he asked. "There are other human researchers, ones who do not make controversial speeches." Velmira smiled. At least Taewon thought it was a smile. Her face did not move like a human face, but her glow shifted in a way that seemed happy. "Because you believe in it. Everyone else just studies emotions like they are things in a lab. But you understand that they are important, that they make life worth living." She reached into her robe and pulled out a small data chip. She placed it on his desk. "This is information from the Concordat's secret files. It proves they plan to keep humanity trapped in your current systems forever. They are afraid of you, afraid that if humans are allowed to spread, your emotions will spread too. Other species might start to question why they gave up their feelings." Taewon picked up the chip. If this was real, it changed everything. Humanity had been trying to join the Concordat for 30 years. Earth's leaders thought it was just a matter of time. But if Velmira was right, it would never happen. "How do I know this is real?" he asked. "Check it yourself," Velmira said, "but do it carefully. If they know I gave it to you, they will kill me. Not exile, not prison death." Taewon looked at her for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. "Okay, I will help you. But we have to be very careful. If your mother finds out what you are doing, My mother is the Empress, Velmira said quietly. She is the most powerful person in the Vayner Dominion, and she already knows I am different. She watches me constantly. That is why we have to start now before she can stop us. They made plans to meet again in 3 days. Velmira would tell her guards she was attending cultural briefings. Taewon would find a private place where they could work without being seen. After she left, Taewon sat alone in his office. He looked at the data chip in his hand. Then he looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, on a ship he could not see, Empress Kathazara sat on her throne. She watched a screen that showed her daughter leaving Taewon's office. The Empress's face showed nothing. No anger, no worry, no fear. But inside, in the deep part of herself, she kept locked away. She felt something she had not felt in decades. She felt afraid, because she had once been like her daughter, curious, rebellious, full of feelings she could not name. And she knew exactly where that path led. It led to pain, to loss, to a broken heart that could never fully heal. She had spent 60 years trying to save her daughter from that fate. But now, watching Velmira walk away with hope in her glow, Kathazara wondered if she had already lost. 3 days passed slowly. Taewon checked the data chip Velmira had given him. Everything on it was real. The Concordat truly planned to keep humanity isolated forever. He felt angry when he read it, but also strangely excited. If he could help Velmira, maybe he could change their minds. He found a place for their lessons. It was an old observation deck that nobody used anymore. The room had windows on all sides showing the stars. It was quiet and private. When Velmira arrived, she came alone. Well, almost alone. A tall Vayner woman followed behind her. Her crystal skin was darker blue, almost purple. "This is Silthana," Velmira said. "My bodyguard. She has to come everywhere with me." "But I trust her." Silthana said nothing. She stood by the door and watched them with unreadable eyes. Taewon felt uncomfortable, but he started the lesson anyway. "First, we need to understand what emotions are," he said. "For your people, emotions are just biological responses. Your body feels fear, so you know there is danger. Your body feels pleasure, so you know something is good, right?" Velmira nodded. "But for humans, emotions are experiences. We do not just notice fear. We live through it. We remember it. We tell stories about it. Fear becomes part of who we are." "I do not understand the difference," Velmira said. Taewon thought for a moment. Then he pulled out a small device and set it on the table between them. "Let me show you. This is music." He pressed a button. Soft piano music filled the room. It was a sad song, slow and gentle. The melody moved up and down like waves. Velmira listened. Her glow flickered slightly. "It is pleasant. The sound waves are organized in patterns that are satisfying to hear." "That is noticing it," Taewon said. "Now close your eyes. Do not think about the patterns. Just listen. Let the music wash over you." Velmira closed her eyes. The music continued. Taewon watched her carefully. At first nothing changed. Then slowly her glow began to shift. It pulsed in time with the music. Colors moved through her crystalline skin like liquid light. When the song ended, Velmira opened her eyes. She looked different somehow, shaken. "What was that?" she whispered. "That was feeling," Taewon said softly. By the door, Silthana shifted uncomfortably. Her hand moved to a device on her belt. Taewon guessed it was some kind of communicator. Was she reporting to the Empress? He pushed the thought away and continued. Over the next hour, he played her different kinds of music. Happy songs that made her glow bright yellow. Angry music with screaming guitars that turned her glow sharp and red. Peaceful music that made her glow soft and blue like the ocean. "My readings are unstable," Velmira said, looking at a device on her wrist. "My temperature is rising and falling. My energy output is irregular. This should not be happening." "Those are not malfunctions," Taewon explained. "Those are emotions affecting your body. Your people taught you to control these responses. We are trying to let them happen naturally." Velmira looked scared and excited at the same time. "It feels dangerous. Like I might break." "You will not break," Taewon promised. "Humans feel like this all the time. We survive." Their second lesson came 5 days later. This time Taewon brought paintings. He showed her images from Earth's history. Beautiful landscapes. Portraits of people laughing and crying. Abstract art that showed emotion through color and shape alone. Velmira stared at a painting of a woman holding a baby. The woman's face showed pure joy and exhaustion mixed together. Why would someone create this? Velmira asked. What is the purpose? The purpose is to share the feeling, Taewon said. The artist felt something powerful when she became a mother. She painted it so others could feel it too, so that moment would never be forgotten. That is beautiful, Velmira said quietly. My people do not do this. We record events with perfect accuracy, but we do not try to share how those events felt. Taewon gave her materials to make her own art. Crystal that could be shaped, light sources she could arrange. He told her to create something that showed how she felt. Velmira worked for an hour. She built a structure of clear crystal with light flowing through it in complex patterns. It was not perfect. Some pieces did not quite fit. Some lights were too bright or too dim. But when Taewon looked at it, he felt something. Loneliness, hope, wonder, fear, all mixed together. This is amazing, he said. Velmira looked at her creation with surprise. I did not plan it. I just started making and it happened. That is how art works, Taewon said. It comes from inside you. Their third lesson went wrong. Taewon decided to teach her about sadness and grief. He told her about his parents, how they died when their colony on Mars had an accident, how he was only 12 years old, how his grandmother took him in and raised him. As he spoke, Velmira's glow began to change. It darkened and pulsed erratically. Her whole body started shaking. I feel strange, she gasped, like something is breaking inside me. Alarms went off on her wrist device. Silthana rushed over and grabbed Velmira's arm. Her emotional resonance is too high, Silthana said sharply. She needs to stabilize now. Silthana pulled out a small injector. Taewon realized she was going to give Velmira medicine to suppress the emotions. No, Velmira said, pushing the injector away. I need to feel this. Princess, you are in danger, Silthana insisted. But Velmira forced herself to breathe slowly. She closed her eyes and focused. Gradually, the shaking stopped. Her glow stabilized. When she opened her eyes, they were wet. She was crying. Real tears. That hurt, she said softly. Is that what sadness feels like? Yes, Taewon said. His own voice was thick. Talking about his parents always hurt. I am sorry for your loss, Velmira said. The words were formal, the way aliens always said them. But her voice carried real feeling now. Silthana reported the incident. Within hours, Taewon got a visit from his supervisor, Ambassador Dayun Park. She was a stern woman in her 50s who had spent years building relationships with alien species. What are you doing? She demanded. Do you have any idea how dangerous this is? If the Vaynar princess has a complete emotional breakdown, it could cause a diplomatic incident. She asked for my help, Taewon said. Then you should have said no. Park snapped. She is not human. You cannot treat her like one. Her biology is different. Maybe her biology is not as different as we think, Taewon said quietly. Park looked at him for a long moment. Then she sighed. Just be careful. I cannot protect you if this goes badly. After she left, Taewon stood alone in his office. He looked out at the stars and wondered if he was making a terrible mistake. But then he thought about Velmira's tears. They were real. She had felt something truly human. And somewhere far away, on a ship hidden in the dark, Empress Cathazara watched recordings of her daughter crying. She watched them over and over. And for the first time in 60 years, she allowed herself to cry too. After the crying incident, Velmira stayed away for a week. Taewon worried that she had given up, that the pain had been too much. But then she came back more determined than before. I thought about quitting, she admitted. Sadness hurt more than I expected. But then I realized something. The hurt meant I was alive, really alive. For the first time in my life, I felt like a real person instead of a perfect statue. Their lessons changed after that. They became less about teaching and more about exploring together. Taewon started to see Velmira as more than a student. She was brave. She was curious. She asked questions that made him think differently about his own feelings. One day, a young woman knocked on the observation deck door. She had short black hair and wore an engineer's uniform. Her name tag said So Young An. Sorry to interrupt, she said nervously, but I need to check the window seals. There was a pressure warning in this section. Taewon and Velmira looked at each other. They had been caught, but So Young just smiled. I know what you are doing, she said quietly. I have been watching the security schedules. You meet here every few days. And you, she looked at Velmira, you are different from other Vaynar. I can see it in the way you move. Are you going to report us? Velmira asked. So Young laughed. No way, what you are doing is amazing. But I think you are teaching her the wrong things. What do you mean? Taewon asked. You are teaching her about big emotions, love, grief, joy, but what about the small ones? The everyday feelings that make life good? Taewon realized she was right. He had been focusing on intense emotions because they were easier to explain. But humans did not spend most of their time feeling intense things. They felt small things, satisfaction, contentment, mild annoyance, gentle amusement. So Young started joining their lessons. She taught Velmira about the pleasure of fixing something broken, the satisfaction of a job well done, the comfort of eating a warm meal with friends. One afternoon, So Young brought food from the station cafeteria. Simple human food, rice, vegetables, spicy soup. Your people do not eat, right? So Young asked Velmira. You absorb energy directly. Yes, Velmira said. Eating is inefficient. But it is not about efficiency, So Young said with a smile. It is about enjoying life. Watch. She took a bite of the soup and closed her eyes. Spicy, warm, perfect after a long shift. This is happiness. Small happiness, but real. Velmira watched them eat. She could not eat herself, but she seemed to understand. You share food together. It is not just about the nutrients. It is about connection. Exactly, Taewon said. The biggest lesson came when So Young taught Velmira about physical affection. The Vaynar did not touch each other except when necessary. Their crystal bodies were hard and cold. Touch was for fighting or working, never for comfort. Humans need touch, So Young explained. We shake hands when we meet. We hug when we are happy or sad. We hold hands with people we care about. Touch tells us we are not alone. Velmira looked at her own hands. They looked almost human, but they were made of living crystal. I do not think I can do human touch. My body is too different. Try, So Young said gently. She held out her hand. Velmira hesitated. Then she reached out and took So Young's hand. The crystal was cool but not uncomfortable. So Young squeezed gently. This is a handshake, So Young said. It means I am glad to know you. Velmira's glow brightened. I can feel your warmth. Your pulse. You are alive and I can feel it. Later, Taewon explained hugs to her. When humans are sad or scared, sometimes we need to be held. It reminds us that someone cares, that we are not going through things alone. Velmira thought about this for a long time. Could you show me? I want to understand. Taewon felt nervous suddenly. A hug was such a simple thing. But with Velmira it felt important, significant. He stepped closer and opened his arms. Velmira moved into them awkwardly. He wrapped his arms around her shoulders gently. She was cool and smooth like holding a sculpture. But after a moment she relaxed. Her arms came up and held him back. They stood like that for a long moment. Then Velmira spoke softly. I understand now. This is safety. This is trust. This is care. When they separated, both of them felt different, changed somehow. So Young watched them with a knowing smile but said nothing. That evening, Velmira went to the station's library. She had been researching Vaynar history in secret. What she found shocked her. 2,000 years ago, her people had not been emotionless. Ancient texts described Vaynar who laughed and cried, who wrote poetry and sang songs, who fell in love and grieved when loved ones died. Then came the plague, a disease that attacked their emotional centers. Vaynar began having wild mood swings. Some became violent. Others fell into deep sadness and could not function. Society started to collapse. The survivors made a choice. They used genetic engineering to suppress their emotions. It saved them from the plague, but it changed them forever. Over generations, emotional suppression became normal. Then it became law. Now most Vaynar did not even know they had once been different. Velmira showed this research to Taewon. He read it carefully, his excitement growing. This changes everything, he said. Your emotional suppression is not natural evolution. It was an emergency response. And if it was engineered, it can be reversed. But how? Velmira asked. Every Vaynar receives treatments from childhood. The suppression is maintained artificially. Wait, Taewon said slowly. You mean it is not permanent? You take medicine to keep emotions suppressed? Yes, every Vaynar gets injections every few months. I assumed you knew this. Taewon felt his mind racing. Velmira, when was your last treatment? She thought about it. 4 months ago? I was supposed to have another one 3 weeks ago, but I skipped it. That is why you can learn to feel, Taewon said excitedly. Without the treatments, your natural emotional capacity is returning. I'm not teaching you something new. I am helping you remember something you always had. Velmira stared at him. Then she started to laugh. It was a strange sound, like chimes ringing. She had never laughed before. I am not broken, she said. I am healing, but their joy did not last long. The next day, security forces came to the observation deck. They were not there to arrest anyone. They were there to protect Velmira, because Empress Cathzara had arrived at Nexus 7, and she wanted to see her daughter immediately. When Velmira and Taewon were brought before the Empress, they expected anger, punishment, threats. Instead, Cathzara looked at her daughter for a long moment. Then she did something shocking. She reached out and took Velmira's hand. Velmira gasped. Her mother had never touched her like this, never offered comfort or affection. I know what you are doing, Cathzara said softly, and I know why. Because I was once like you, full of curiosity and feeling, but I learned the hard way that emotions bring pain. I do not want you to suffer as I did. Mother, Velmira said, what happened to you? Cathzara's glow dimmed. I fell in love with your father. When he was killed, the grief nearly destroyed me. I had to undergo additional suppression just to survive. I have spent 60 years avoiding that pain. I do not want you to know that kind of hurt. Velmira squeezed her mother's hand. But you also do not want me to know joy, love, wonder. You want to protect me from pain by taking away everything good too. Cathzara said nothing, but a single tear formed on her face, crystallizing as it fell. And in that moment, Velmira understood. Her mother was not healed. She was broken and afraid. The situation exploded within hours. A Vanar politician named Lord Vexthar learned about Velmira's activities. He hated the Empress and saw this as his chance to destroy her. He filed formal charges against Taewon: cultural contamination, psychological manipulation, endangering a member of the royal family. The charges carried severe penalties. If Taewon was convicted, he would be exiled from all Concordate space forever, and humanity's chance of joining the galactic community would die with him. Taewon was arrested and placed in a detention cell. It was clean and comfortable, but it was still a prison. He sat on the bed and stared at the walls. Everything he had worked for was falling apart. Ambassador Park came to visit him. She looked tired and worried. I warned you this would happen, she said. Now Earth's entire diplomatic corps is scrambling to contain the damage. I am sorry, Taewon said quietly. Park sighed and sat down across from him. The worst part is I understand why you did it. Velmira deserves the chance to feel, to be fully alive, but understanding does not change the political reality. What happens now? Taewon asked. We have assigned you a lawyer, Hajun Lee. He is the best we have, but even he says the case looks bad. The Concordate wants to make an example of you. The trial began 3 days later. It took place in the Concordate's main council chamber. Representatives from all 12 member species attended. The room was massive and intimidating. Taewon sat at a table with Hajun Lee beside him. Hajun was in his mid-40s with gray streaks in his hair. He looked calm and confident, but Taewon could see the worry in his eyes. The prosecution presented their case first. They showed medical readings of Velmira's unstable emotional states. They called expert witnesses who testified that human emotions were dangerous to other species. They painted Taewon as reckless and irresponsible. Then Hajun stood up for the defense. He was brilliant. He argued that Taewon had not forced anything on Velmira. She had sought him out. She had made her own choices. Princess Velmira is an adult by Vanar standards, Hajun said. She has the right to decide what she wants to learn, what she wants to feel. Dr. Han simply provided information. He did not coerce or manipulate, but the council members did not seem convinced. One by one, they questioned Taewon. Some were hostile. Others seemed genuinely confused about why anyone would want to feel emotions. The worst moment came when Lord Vexthar took the floor. He was a tall Vanar with dark purple crystal skin. His voice was cold and sharp. This human has contaminated our princess, he said. He has turned her into something unstable. Something dangerous. She must undergo immediate stabilization therapy, and he must be punished severely. We cannot allow humans to spread their emotional chaos throughout the galaxy. Hajun objected. Princess Velmira is not here to defend herself. How can we make decisions about her treatment without her input? She is emotionally compromised, Vexthar replied. She cannot make rational decisions. The judge was about to rule when the chamber doors opened. Velmira walked in. She wore formal robes and held her head high. Her glow was steady and bright. She looked completely in control. I demand to testify, she announced. The council chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. Empress Cathazara, sitting in the royal section, stood up. Velmira, you should not be here, she said. Mother, I have to speak. This is about my life, my choices. The judge considered this. Then he nodded. Very well. Princess Velmira may testify. Velmira walked to the center of the chamber. Every eye in the room watched her. I came to Dr. Han, she began. He did not seek me out. I asked him to teach me. I begged him, because I was tired of being half alive. She looked around at the council members. All of you say humans are dangerous because they feel too much. But I think you are afraid because you feel too little. My people removed our emotions 2,000 years ago to survive a crisis. But the crisis is over. We kept the suppression because we are afraid. Afraid of pain, afraid of loss, afraid of being vulnerable, Lord Vexthar interrupted. This proves she is compromised. She speaks like a human, not a Vanar. No, Velmira said firmly. I speak like a Vanar who has stopped taking suppression treatments. I speak like my ancestors did before we changed ourselves. I am not becoming something new. I am remembering something old. She turned to face the entire council. Dr. Han taught me about human emotions. Yes, they are intense. Yes, they can be painful. But they are also beautiful. They are what make life worth living. Humans survive terrible things not by suppressing their feelings, but by feeling them fully. They turn pain into art. They turn fear into courage. They turn love into action. As she spoke, her glow began to change. It shifted from the standard blue to something else. Gold. Warm, bright gold. A color that Vanar bodies should not be able to produce. The council members gasped. Empress Cathazara covered her mouth with her hand. This is what I have become, Velmira said, her voice strong. I am not broken. I am not dangerous. I am alive, truly alive for the first time. Lord Vexthar stood up. This is exactly why she needs stabilization. Her biology is malfunctioning. My biology is functioning perfectly, Velmira countered. It is doing what it was designed to do before we suppressed it. I am not malfunctioning. I am healing. She took a deep breath. I challenge anyone on this council to prove that emotional suppression makes us better. I will undergo any test of wisdom, strategy, or ethics you choose. Me with my emotions against anyone with suppression. If I lose, I will accept stabilization therapy. If I win, all charges against Dr. Han are dropped. The chamber exploded in noise. Some council members argued for the challenge. Others said it proved nothing. The debate went on for hours. Finally, Empress Cathazara stood. The room fell silent. There will be no challenge, she said. Velmira looked at her mother with surprise and hurt. Mother, please, give me a chance to prove myself. There will be no challenge, Cathazara repeated, because I am withdrawing all Vanar complaints against Dr. Han. Furthermore, I am vouching for both him and my daughter. The shock in the room was palpable. Lord Vexthar looked furious. Your Majesty, you cannot be serious. You are emotionally compromised by your daughter's condition. Cathazara turned to face him, and then she did something that shocked everyone in the chamber. She smiled. A real human smile. You are correct, Lord Vexthar, she said. I am compromised. I have been skipping my suppression treatments for 3 months. I wanted to understand what my daughter was experiencing, and what I discovered changed everything. She looked at Velmira with genuine warmth. My daughter is not sick. She is brave. And perhaps it is time for all of us to be brave. The Empress turned back to the council. I propose a full investigation into the history and effects of Vanar emotional suppression. And I propose that humanity be admitted to the Concordat immediately, not as a cautionary tale, but as teachers. They have something we need to learn. Lord Vexthar was shaking with rage. This is madness. The Empress has lost her mind. No, Cathazara said softly. I have found it again. The council was thrown into chaos. They would need to vote. They would need to debate. But in that moment, Taewon looked at Velmira across the chamber. She looked back at him, and both of them knew that something fundamental had shifted. The galaxy would never be the same. The council chamber stayed in chaos for hours. Empress Cathazara's announcement had split the Concordat down the middle. Some species supported her proposal. Others thought she had gone mad. The debate raged while Taiwan sat in his cell waiting to learn his fate. That evening, Velmira came to see him. The guards let her pass without question. She was still royalty after all. She sat across from him in the small visiting room. Her golden glow had dimmed to a softer color, almost amber. "I am sorry," she said quietly. "I did not mean to cause so much trouble." "You have nothing to apologize for," Taiwan said. "You were incredibly brave today." "My mother was braver," Velmira said. "She risked everything to defend us." "I never thought she would do that. Why did she?" Taiwan asked. "She spent decades suppressing her emotions." "What changed?" Velmira smiled sadly. "She told me later. She said she watched me cry and realized she had been trying to protect me from life itself. She started skipping her treatments because she wanted to understand why I was willing to risk so much for feelings. And once she started feeling again, she could not go back." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Velmira spoke again. "Taiwan, there is something I need to tell you. Something I have been feeling but did not know how to explain." He looked at her carefully. Her glow was shifting between colors nervously. "When I am with you, I feel different than with anyone else," she said. "My glow brightens. My thoughts become clearer. I feel happy and nervous and excited all at once. I think about you when you are not here. I want to share everything with you. Is this what humans call love?" Taiwan felt his heart start to race. He had been fighting these same feelings for weeks. He told himself it was impossible, that she was his student, that they were too different. But now, looking at her, he could not deny the truth anymore. "Yes," he said softly, "that is love, and I feel it too." Velmira's glow exploded into brilliant gold. She reached across the table and took his hands. Her crystal skin was warm now, not cool like before. "I was afraid you only saw me as a student," she said. "I was afraid I was taking advantage of you." Taiwan admitted. "You came to me for help. I did not want to confuse teaching with something else." "But it is something else," Velmira said. "It has been from the start. I think that is why I could learn, because I trusted you completely." The next day brought unexpected news. The Concordat had reached a decision. The charges against Taiwan were dropped. Humanity would be admitted as a provisional member, with conditions. Earth would establish cultural exchange programs. Human researchers would study emotional development across species. It was not everything they hoped for, but it was a beginning. But there was bad news too. Lord Vexthar had not given up. He rallied conservative factions among the Vaynar. He declared that Empress Cathazara was unfit to rule due to emotional instability. He gathered a fleet of ships and demanded she step down immediately. If Cathazara returned home, there would be civil war. If she stayed away, Vexthar would install a puppet ruler and undo everything she had started. Cathazara met with Velmira and Taiwan in her private quarters. She looked tired but determined. "I am going home," she announced. "I will face Vexthar and his supporters. I will not run from this fight." "Mother, they will try to force you into suppression therapy," Velmira said. "Or worse." "I know," Cathazara said calmly. "But our people need to see that their empress can feel and still lead. That emotions are not weakness. If I hide, I prove them right." "I am coming with you," Velmira said. "No," Cathazara said firmly. "You need to stay here. With Taiwan. Learn more. Experience life. You have just begun your journey. Do not cut it short." Velmira wanted to argue, but her mother's expression stopped her. "Actually," Velmira said slowly, "I have been thinking. I want to request asylum on Earth. I want to abdicate my claim to the throne. I want to stay with Taiwan and continue learning what it means to be fully alive." Cathazara stared at her daughter. "You would give up everything? Your position? Your people?" "I am not giving up anything," Velmira said. "I am choosing what matters most. I can serve my people better by showing them what is possible than by ruling them while suppressed." Cathazara looked at Taiwan. "And you? Will you take care of my daughter?" "I will," Taiwan promised. "If she will have me?" The Empress smiled. It still looked strange on her face, but it was genuine. "Then I give you my blessing. Both of you." She embraced Velmira. It was awkward at first. Neither of them were used to hugging. but they figured it out, holding each other tight. "I love you," Kathazara whispered. "I always have, even when I could not show it." "I know, Mother," Velmira said. "I love you too." Kathazara left for the Vanar homeworld the next day, but she did not go alone. Hundreds of Vanar citizens who had been secretly skipping their treatments came forward. They formed a movement supporting the Empress. Commander Yelkath and his emotional military units pledged their loyalty. What could have been a civil war became something else, a choice. The Vanar government established two systems: traditional zones where emotional suppression continued as before, and freedom zones where Vanar could stop the treatments and explore their feelings. Citizens could move between zones freely. It was not perfect, but it was progress, and Kathazara remained Empress, respected by both sides for giving her people options instead of mandates. Meanwhile, Velmira and Taiwan prepared to leave Nexus 7. Earth had offered them positions at a new research institute dedicated to studying cross-species emotional development. On their last night on the station, they stood in the old observation deck where their lessons had begun. They looked out at the stars together. "Are you scared?" Taiwan asked. "Earth will be very different from what you know." "Yes," Velmira said honestly, "but I learned from humans that fear is not something to avoid. It is something to feel and move through." She took his hand. "Besides, I will not be alone. I will have you." Taiwan pulled her close. This time the hug was natural and easy. They fit together perfectly. "I have something for you," he said. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. Inside was a ring, simple silver with a small blue stone. On Earth, when two people love each other and want to build a life together, they sometimes exchange rings, he explained. "It is a promise, a symbol. I know we are different species. I know this is complicated, but I want to promise you that I will be with you, through joy and pain, through discovery and fear, through everything." Velmira's glow shifted through every color she had ever shown. Finally, it settled on gold so bright it filled the room with light. "Yes," she said. "Yes to everything. Yes to promises and symbols and complications and love. Yes to life. With you." He slipped the ring onto her finger. It looked strange on her crystal hand, but it was perfect anyway. Then Velmira did something she had been reading about in human books. She leaned forward and kissed him. It was her first kiss, awkward and gentle and filled with so much emotion that every light on the observation deck flickered and pulsed. Somewhere far away on a ship heading home, Empress Kathazara felt her daughter's happiness like a wave of warmth, and she smiled through her tears, grateful that her child had found what she had lost so long ago. Love. Pure, complicated, beautiful, terrifying, absolutely human love. The journey to Earth took 12 days. Velmira spent the trip learning about her new home. She watched videos of oceans and mountains. She studied human customs and social rules. She practiced speaking without relying on translation devices, but mostly she just spent time with Taiwan. They talked for hours about everything and nothing. They discovered each other's favorite things. She loved thunderstorms and old movies. He loved quiet mornings and traditional music. When their ship finally entered Earth's orbit, Velmira pressed her face to the window like a child. The planet was so blue, so alive. She had seen pictures, but seeing it in person was different. "It is beautiful," she whispered. "Wait until you walk on a beach," Taiwan said with a smile. "Or feel rain on your face. Or taste ice cream." "I cannot wait," she said. They landed in South Korea, in a small coastal town where Taiwan had grown up. His grandmother still lived there in a traditional house near the sea. She was waiting when they arrived, a tiny woman with white hair and sharp eyes. "So this is the alien princess who has stolen my grandson's heart," she said in Korean. Velmira understood through her translator. She bowed respectfully the way Taiwan had taught her. "It is an honor to meet you, grandmother." The old woman circled around Velmira, studying her from every angle. Velmira stood still, nervous but trying not to show it. "You glow when you are happy," grandmother observed. "That is good. I can tell when my grandson makes you smile. He will have no excuse for making you sad." "Grandma," Taiwan protested, embarrassed. "Hush," the old woman said. "Come inside. I made food. You can eat, I assume?" she asked Velmira. "I do not need to eat," Velmira explained. "But Taiwan has been teaching me to appreciate food anyway." "For the experience," grandmother nodded approvingly. "Smart girl. Food is not just fuel. It is culture. It is love. Come." The meal was simple but delicious. Rice, soup, kimchi, grilled fish. Velmira sat with them and watched them eat. She could not taste food the way humans did, but she absorbed small amounts of the energy. More importantly, she absorbed the feeling. The warmth of family. The comfort of a shared table. "Tell me about your mother," grandmother said to Velmira. "She is an empress, yes? What does she think of you marrying my grandson?" "We are not married yet," Velmira said, blushing. Well, her version of blushing. Her glow turned pink. "Yet," grandmother repeated with satisfaction. "Good. My grandson moves too slowly sometimes. And your mother?" "She gave us her blessing," Velmira said softly. It was not easy for her. She spent decades suppressing her emotions, but she is learning to feel again. Because of me. Because she wanted to understand why I was willing to risk everything for this. Grandmother reached over and patted Velmira's crystalline hand. "She sounds like a good mother. Strong but willing to change. Those are the best kind." Later, Taewon took Velmira to the beach. It was sunset, and the sky was painted in colors that made her glow shift in response. "Orange, pink, purple, gold. Take off your shoes," Taewon said. Velmira did. She stepped onto the sand and gasped. It was warm and soft and shifted under her feet in a way that was completely new. She walked toward the water. When the first wave touched her feet, she laughed out loud. The water was cold and alive. It pulled at the sand beneath her. It moved with rhythm and power. "This is amazing," she said. "I have seen oceans in videos, but I never understood. It is so much more than water. It is like the ocean has a personality." "Humans say the ocean has moods," Taewon explained. "Some days it is calm and gentle. Other days it is angry and dangerous. Just like emotions." They walked along the shore as the sun set. Velmira picked up shells and smooth stones. She watched seabirds flying overhead. She felt the wind on her face. "I am glad I came here," she said quietly. "I gave up my position, my people, my whole world. But this is worth it." "You did not give up your world," Taewon said. "You expanded it." The weeks passed quickly. Velmira enrolled in classes at the university. She studied human culture, psychology, and art. She was the only alien student, which made her a bit of a celebrity. But most people were kind and curious rather than hostile. She also struggled sometimes. Emotions were still new and overwhelming. She cried over sad movies. She got angry when she saw injustice on the news. She felt anxious before tests. These small human experiences felt huge to her, but Taewon was always there to help her through it. And slowly, she learned to navigate her feelings the way humans did. Not by suppressing them, but by accepting them as part of life. One evening, 6 months after arriving on Earth, Velmira received an unexpected message. The Concordate's founders wanted to meet with her and Taewon, privately. It was urgent. They traveled to a secure facility where a representative of the founders waited. His name was Eldest Kunan. He was ancient, his species so old they had evolved beyond most physical forms. He appeared as a being of pure light and energy. "Thank you for coming," Kunan said. His voice resonated in their minds rather than their ears. "I have been watching your progress with great interest." "Why did you want to see us?" Taewon asked. "Because you represent something important," Kunan said. "The Concordate has been dying slowly for millions of years. We did not see it at first, but species after species chose to suppress or remove their emotions in pursuit of efficiency and stability, and in doing so they lost their creativity, their passion, their ability to adapt and grow." "You knew this was happening?" Velmira asked. "We did," Kunan admitted. "We tried to warn them. But it is difficult to convince someone that they have lost something when they no longer remember having it." Then humanity emerged, a technological species that not only kept their emotions but celebrated them. "We saw hope." "Is that why you voted to admit us to the Concordate?" Taewon asked. "Partially," Kunan said. "But there is more. My species is transcending physical form entirely. We are becoming pure consciousness. It is the natural end of our evolution. But in transcending, we lose something precious. The raw, messy experience of being alive, of feeling joy and pain directly, of being vulnerable and mortal." He paused, and they felt sadness emanating from him. "We see in humanity what we have lost," Kunan continued. "And in you, Velmira, we see proof that emotions can spread, that they are not a weakness to evolve past, but a strength to preserve. You are the first of what we hope will be many, species rediscovering what they gave up." "What are you asking us to do?" Velmira asked. Live, Quinan said simply. Live fully. Love deeply. Create art, make mistakes. Feel everything. Show the galaxy that it is possible. Show them what they have been missing. You are not just a couple in love. You are ambassadors for a better way of existing. That is a lot of pressure, Taewon said. Yes, Quinan agreed. But you do not have to be perfect. You just have to be real. That is all we ask. After the meeting, Velmira and Taewon walked in silence for a while. Finally, Velmira spoke. Does it bother you that we have become symbols? That our relationship means more than just us? A little, Taewon admitted. But I think Quinan is right. We just need to be ourselves. If that inspires others, good. If not, we still have each other. Velmira smiled and took his hand. Then let us be ourselves together, forever. Forever, Taewon agreed. And he meant it. 1 year after coming to Earth, Velmira and Taewon stood in front of their friends and family. They were getting married. It was a small ceremony on the beach where they had first walked together. Grandmother cried happy tears. So Young and Ji-hoon stood as witnesses. They had gotten married themselves a few months earlier. Ambassador Park attended, now serving as Earth's representative to the new Galactic Council. And to everyone's surprise, Empress Kath Zara had traveled from the Vanar homeworld to be there. The Empress looked different now. Her glow was softer, warmer. She smiled easily. When she hugged her daughter, it was natural and full of love. I am proud of you, she whispered to Velmira. So proud. You changed everything. The ceremony was simple. Taewon and Velmira stood facing the ocean as the sun set. They spoke their vows in both Korean and the Vanar language. I promise to feel with you, Velmira said. Through joy and pain, through fear and courage, through all the messy, beautiful moments that make life worth living. I promise to teach you, Taewon said, and to learn from you, to grow with you, to build a life that honors both of our worlds. When they kissed, Velmira's glow exploded in cascading colors: gold, pink, blue, purple, every emotion visible for everyone to see. The guests cheered and cried and celebrated. It was perfect. It was real. It was human and alien and something entirely new all at once. 6 months after the wedding, Velmira discovered something unexpected. She was pregnant. It should have been impossible. Humans and Vanar were too biologically different. But Dr. Bora Nam, a brilliant scientist who specialized in cross-species genetics, had been working on this problem. She had developed an experimental therapy that made reproduction possible between compatible species. The baby will be unique, Dr. Nam explained to them. A true hybrid. We do not know exactly what traits they will have, but all our tests show they are healthy and developing normally. Velmira was scared and excited. Taewon was the same. They did not know what their child would be like. Would they have Velmira's crystalline skin or Taewon's human features? Would they glow? Would they need to eat? Would they feel emotions as intensely as humans, or would they need to learn like Velmira did? We will figure it out together, Taewon said, holding her hand, just like we have figured out everything else. The pregnancy progressed. News spread across the galaxy. Velmira and Taewon's child would be the first human-alien hybrid ever born. Scientists wanted to study them. Politicians debated what it meant for interspecies relations. Religious leaders argued about the ethics, but Velmira and Taewon ignored most of the noise. They focused on preparing. They read books about parenting. They set up a nursery in their small house by the sea. They argued about names and laughed about their fears. Empress Kathazara visited often. She brought gifts and advice. She told stories about raising Velmira. She admitted her mistakes and shared her hopes for her grandchild. This child will bridge 2 worlds, Kathazara said. They will show everyone what is possible when we stop being afraid of difference. Meanwhile, changes were happening across the galaxy. More and more species were questioning their emotional suppression. The Vanar freedom zones were thriving. Art and music were being created for the first time in millennia. Young Vanar were falling in love and starting families. Other species started similar experiments. A few brave individuals stopped their own suppression treatments. Some struggled, some thrived. But all of them were trying. Humanity had become what Kunan predicted. Not conquerors or rulers, but teachers. Humans opened their universities to alien students. They shared their art and music. They taught courses on emotional intelligence and expression. It was not easy. There were conflicts, misunderstandings. Some species decided emotions were too risky and maintained their suppression. Others embraced feeling but struggled with the intensity. But slowly, surely, the galaxy was becoming more alive. The baby was born on a stormy night. Rain pounded the windows. Thunder rolled across the sky. Velmira labored for hours with Taiwan beside her, holding her hand. When their daughter finally arrived, everyone in the room went silent. She was beautiful and strange and perfect. Her skin was partly crystalline like her mother's, but softer, more flexible. She had her father's dark eyes and her mother's luminescence. When she cried, she glowed bright pink. When she calmed in her mother's arms, the glow turned soft blue. "She is perfect," Velmira whispered, tears streaming down her face. "What will we name her?" Taiwan asked. They had debated this for months. Finally, Velmira said the name they had chosen together. Ha-Un, she said. Summer Grace, a name that means hope and beauty, a name that belongs to both our worlds. Little Ha-Un opened her eyes and looked at her parents. And in that moment, Taiwan and Velmira understood. They had created something impossible, something that should not exist. But here she was, breathing and glowing and alive. 2 years later, Taiwan and Velmira stood on the same beach where they had married. Ha-Un toddled between them, holding both their hands. She glowed happy yellow, laughing as waves crashed at their feet. "Do you ever regret it?" Taiwan asked. "Giving up your position, your home planet, everything you had?" Velmira looked at him with surprise. "How can you ask that? I did not give up anything. I gained everything." She gestured around them. "At the ocean, at the sunset, at their daughter, at him. I have love. I have family. I have feelings that make every day an adventure. I am alive, Taiwan. Really, truly alive. Not the half-existence I had before. This is what I was meant to be." Hayun squealed and pointed at a seabird flying overhead. Her glow shifted to excited orange. Velmira picked her up and spun her around, both of them laughing. Taiwan watched them and felt his heart swell. This was happiness. Simple, perfect, human happiness. Across the galaxy on the Vanar homeworld, Empress Kathzara stood in her palace watching the same sunset. She was holding a data pad showing a live feed from Earth. She watched her daughter and granddaughter playing on the beach. She watched Taiwan join them, all three of them sitting in the sand as the sun painted the sky in fire. Kathzara smiled. She cried. She felt proud and sad and hopeful all at once. Emotions she had locked away for decades now flowed freely. It still hurt sometimes, but it also felt like coming home. Silthana, her bodyguard and friend, put a hand on her shoulder. She was learning to feel too. They all were. "Your daughter changed the galaxy," Silthana said. "No," Kathzara said softly. "She just reminded us what we always were. What we can be again." Back on Earth, as the sun set completely, Velmira and Taiwan sat with Ha-Un between them. The little girl was getting sleepy, her glow dimming to soft blue. "Tell me about the stars, Papa," Ha-Un mumbled. Taiwan pointed up at the darkening sky. "Each star is a sun. Around each sun are planets. On those planets are people, all kinds of people, and they are all learning to feel, to live, to love, just like us." "Because of Mama?" Ha-Un asked. "Because your Mama was brave," Taiwan said. "She chose to feel even when it was scary, even when it hurt. She chose love over safety. And now the whole galaxy is learning from her." Velmira leaned her head on Taiwan's shoulder. Her glow was soft and warm. "Happy, content. Not just me," she said quietly. "All humans. You taught me that feelings are not weaknesses. They are what make life beautiful, what make it worth living, what make us truly alive. Ha-Un yawned and snuggled against her mother. Her glow was peaceful now. Safe. Loved. They sat there as stars appeared one by one. Above them, a universe of possibilities stretched endlessly. Below them, the ocean sang its ancient song. And between them, a family that should not exist, but did anyway. A human man, an alien woman, a hybrid child who glowed with every emotion. They were proof that differences could be bridged, that love could cross any divide, that feelings, for all their complexity and pain, were worth it. Always worth it. Humanity, fuck yeah. Not because humans were perfect, not because they were the strongest or smartest, but because they felt deeply, because they loved fiercely, because they understood that being alive meant being vulnerable, being messy, being real. And now, thanks to one brave princess and one patient teacher, the whole galaxy was learning what that meant. The alien princess had asked to be taught human affection. Instead, she taught the universe that affection was not just human. It was universal. It was the birthright of every living being who had the courage to feel. And as the waves crashed and the stars shone and a little girl glowed peacefully in her parents' arms, the galaxy took one more step toward remembering what it meant to be truly alive.